Hello, my name is Pat McGeever. I'm the Chief Executive of a charity based in Leeds called Health for All.
Hello, and I'm Doshil Bhatia. I work for Health for All as well as Healthy Community Service Manager.
Yeah. And we were delighted and honoured to be asked to just share a few thoughts and some information about the Time to Shine BME Seniors Network that we've run for many years in Leeds.
Right.
So in terms of Health for All Leeds, we've actually been running since December 1991, and from the very beginning, our aim was to actually work with disadvantaged, excluded communities, individuals and communities of interest, to help them redress health inequalities and really live happier, healthier, more fulfilled lives. We took a community development approach. That's what makes us sort of like really effective in our work engaging communities. And by community development approach, we mean starting small groups, small peer support groups, action groups, activity groups within local communities, meeting in centres, mosques, temples, even small health centres, and starting small weekly groups, which we then help to become independent and have their own constitution, open a bank account, and then we support them to independence. So over the course of the years, we've started, dozens of these small groups. And we were we've been successful, we'd say, in engaging particularly BME communities because of our long-standing presence through a network of local community centres and family centres, particularly in South Leeds, and then spreading further afield into across Leeds and Bradford. So we run 6 small centres, well, some larger, and some of the groups meet in those centres. So because we have started these small groups within the hearts of communities and help groups to find accessible, welcome premises, that's really helped with the success of engagement. And in the same way that small peer-led groups run by older people, volunteers themselves, with the relevant languages and knowledge, cultural knowledge, in the same way that small groups bring individuals out of their isolation, we were thinking, gosh, wouldn't it be great if we could bring the groups out of their isolation? And that's when we set up a BME Seniors Network. And over the years, we've had different pots of funding, as and when it's been available, to actually employ a worker who worked directly with the small groups, but then actually organised the perhaps monthly meetings, training sessions, and so on. So the actual BME Seniors Network, what was marvellous was, Time to Shine, a fantastic programme that we've been heavily involved in and has really met the needs that we've discovered in communities listening to older people. So the Time to Shine funding from 2015 to 2018 enabled us to sort of employ I think it was a part-time worker, which strengthened and expanded and developed the BME Seniors Network. Initially, the member groups were very much representing Sikh and Hindu elders, but then we also, some of the groups actually have engaged local elders from Pakistani, communities and so on, Bangladeshi. We also run in South Leeds a Bangladeshi elders group, and more recently have moved to support Chinese elders. So basically, the independent volunteer-run managed weekly groups, they engage over 200 older BME South Asian people across the city. And the groups themselves, they have lovely luncheon hot, cooked meal activities which help to improve mental and physical health and so on. And so the groups, but because they were run by volunteer elders themselves, they did need support and training to improve, for example, the governance of the groups, to enable the expansion of the membership safely, enable them to organise AGMs, elect committees, learn the roles of officers, safeguarding and so on. And as with any small group or any organisation, there's sometimes conflict sort of arises, and what we were able to do was help the groups to learn how to safely manage these small groups.
Right, following on from Pat, I'll go through a bit more in details, how the network functioned. So the quarterly BAME Seniors Network meetings were again something that we came up together with the group members that was fit for what they needed. It was in their local area that they could get to. Again, the agenda for the quarterly BAME seniors meeting were decided by the group members, the committee members. So the training that we offered was based on the needs of those small groups. Later on, there will be a film, just an example from one of the groups, sharing, what kind of training they have done. So development of management committee members, as Pat mentioned at the previous slide, about learning roles of the officers. For many groups, this was very new to them. They had the passion, they sort of wanting to make a change, wanting to make a difference to older people, but just needed that hand-holding support around where to start. So we tapped into any citywide training that was available, but because majority of the training was in English, the coordinator of the network supported with the language or written material that was in their language that they could understand. Coming up with volunteer policies, and Help for All, as Pat mentioned before, was built on this model of community development, setting up small groups. We used some of our policies to then tailor to those small groups as a start. So safeguarding policies, volunteer policies were sort of helped us from our Help for All policies. Financial procedures, so keeping accounts, that was something that the group the leaders needed support with. Help with funding has been key because majority of funding is in English, and English being second language. Some of the members, leaders of the group are very good at sort of saying what they want, but actually applying funding. They needed support in writing down funding bids, also submitting monitoring information. That was something that they needed help with. They did their weekly activities, they collected all the information, but to submit it online or paper-based, they needed support that the network was able to offer. We've supported over 8 BAME elder groups as part of this network throughout the lifespan of 3 years. So some groups joined in and some sort of, stopped functioning, so they left the network. But throughout 3 years, we worked with 8 small groups from the start of the project around building capacity of the groups, offering advice and support on funding, group accounts, running activities. Most of them knew what they wanted, but having another group or peer, another community leader, sort of sharing their experience of certain activities, helped them to, run their own. Group insurance, like liability insurance, was something that they'd never kind of thought about before coming on the network. So again, sharing information about, who should they go insure their activities from. That was sort of quite crucial for the leaders running those groups. As part of the BAME Seniors funding from Time to Shine, there was also some of the aspects of the project was majority of the aspects was to reach isolated, housebound BAME older people. So the coordinator also did outreach. Again, a lot of support from the leaders from those groups because they knew where those isolated older people were. having that trust with the community was key. So telephone befriending, home visits. Some of the leaders assisted our staff to, go on home visits because of the trust already being developed with those peers. We got referrals from other organisations like social prescribing or GP practices, but majority came from family and friends and these community leaders. So currently, the BAME Seniors, because our Time to Shine main funding came to an end in 2018, and Help for All have still supported the network with a very limited capacity. Just 3 hours a week, coordinator supports the current group. So we've got Sumangal Group, Sanskar, Vandan, Saman Bihar, and Annapurna that are currently still receiving support over the phone or face-to-face meetings to carry on their activities. Throughout the lifespan of the project, we've raised around 85,000 for small groups to run their own activities, as Pat mentioned before, going on trips, going Bollywood cinema, having a chair-based exercise, yoga group, food, singing sessions, pampering sessions, whatever the members came up with, and they were very unique to those individual groups. So currently the groups are still, there are 3 groups that have managed to set up virtual activities, again, support from our coordinator. So they've been doing chair-based exercise on Skype and Zoom. Then few are restarting, but we are helping them to look at risk assessment and looking at how we reopen the social activities safely. And we will be sharing the film very soon. So yeah, enjoy that.
I'm Mrs. Sura and I am a volunteer worker for the Sumangal Luncheon Club for the elderly. And mainly we have got members here who are over 60. I started working here as a volunteer 2 years ago, and I was helped by Help for All and Time to Shine members because I didn't know how to run the charity group or independent groups like this. So now with the help of them, I am organizing chair-based exercises. We are doing yoga. We are going on different trips, and we have been cooking as well, teaching elderly people how to prepare the healthy food. And Time to Shine and Help for All have also helped us to organize food and hygiene trainings, because we have been cooking food at the venue. So it was very important, and they have introduced to us about different trainings like first aid, safeguarding, and they have been really very, very helpful organizing our trips to seaside or going to cinema, Bollywood cinema for our elderly people. So they would like to watch Indian films, taking them to shopping. So they have been part and parcel of our group. So we really say a big thank you to Help for All and Time to Shine.
Any questions? Pat, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think one of the questions that people ask is how do you actually bring together such a diverse group of older people, volunteers, who are obviously very very skilled and very passionate about their own group, and sort of like knit them into a network, and I think that's been very interesting. I think when I suppose we as catalysts, or we as enablers, community development workers, have been able to help people understand from different groups that they have very very many similarities, many of the challenges that they face, many of the opportunities. And I think that's, we always make things fun, from the very small weekly groups to the actual network meetings, and definitely provide very nice refreshments and so on. And I think, one of the keys to success is the very deep respect that we hold for the people that we serve. So I think we sort of make it clear that we see this as an honour to actually be helping them, and people respond accordingly. So that it's just fantastic. I mean, one of the things I would say is that we since the Time to Shine funding finished, we have found it a challenge to find funding to support networks of this nature, which is a shame, really, because they're so valuable. As I say, small groups recognised as bringing individuals out of their isolation, but then bringing the groups out of their isolation, absolutely crucial. Did you have anything, Tosho?
No, I think you've covered everything, Pat. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for inviting us.